Alright, so I thought I'll do a small update on the Bevy game I was working on. And thing is that, didn't have that much time to work on the game, had more interesting topics to do videos about, like the compiler and everything. But I still try to spend like 1 hour or 2 hours every other day working on this thing. And I thought that since I'm using an ECS style game engine, maybe it's a better idea to try and build a game from bottom up in a way, if you think about it as a compiler. And what better way than just trying to work with examples, I thought. So I can go to the examples. I was posting some of them on the Discord if you are interested to see them earlier. Like, I try to post there when I get an example going, and if you have questions how I did it or something, we can talk about it. But you can also let me know if you are interested more in the game. I can try to do more videos like this. But yeah, let me just show you some of the examples that I try to go. So I mean, obviously, one thing that I wasn't happy about in the first game devlog, or whatever I called it, was the camera, because I was using a camera from like an asset or something like that, like the asset store or whatever it's called. And yeah, I wasn't really happy because it was only made for an RTS game. Even this one, I don't know how RTS games have, like, it's been really long since I've played like Age of Empires or games like that. And yeah, like I try to fix the camera. That this is the first example, right? So the camera much better. And honestly, I just copied the camera from the guy that made the Bevy, I think it's pan orbit camera. Yeah, like this one. And the thing that I didn't like about it was the movement, and I wanted to change it to be like only on the XZ axis, and much better. Okay, and for the next one, honestly I don't remember if already saw it, but it was I mean, since I made those really short demos, I don't really remember if I showed this one already, but it's like the chunking, and I was trying to get it to be more efficient. And I'm not really sure. So there's that thing of a hash map. At some point, it's the overhead of using a hash map, it's not really worth it, right? And I'm not sure what that threshold is, right? And yeah, I mean, I could try to investigate it, like debug it and see the performance between using a vector and a hash map for the game, like at what point it starts to be worth using a hash map. Because, like, is it like for 1000 chunks, 100 chunks, or what number, right? So not really sure about when it becomes a bottleneck to use a vector. But in this example I was using a hash map, or hash set rather. But yeah, so it's like these are the you can imagine that these are the humans, like villagers or something, and they move around the map and they discover terrain, right? So that's how these things should work. And obviously, like, there could be fog of war or something like that, but it's not going to be part of the chunking. Like, chunking is its own separate system. It just discovers new terrain, like forces it to be computed basically. So that's gonna be interesting to use with infinite terrain generation, but for now it's just this. Okay, so yeah, that's one question that I'm asking myself, like, will it be more efficient to use hash maps or vectors, right? So more like, is it worth using hash maps? So that's, it's a good question to ask yourself, if because there's an overhead, right? Even though it's oven, to access stuff in a hash map, there's that constant overhead of using a hash map. So it's something like a vec of 10 elements. It's clearly more efficient than a hash map, right? Because it's only 10 elements. Even though it's linear to go through the entire list, it's still faster than computing the hash for the hash map. But yeah, anyway, the third example, I think this one, already existed in the devlog, because I had textures, like small textures, which you apply on tiles. But I think it's still interesting to talk about, because this is an entire plane, a 32 by 32 plane, and I used a shader to draw images on it, and each image is a 1 by 1, so pretty cool, not gonna lie. And the shader is something like this. It's just, it takes in an array of images. So these are the textures that we can apply, all of them, sampler, whatever. I am not really good at shaders, but then it takes a mapping, which is an array of indices for the textures, and obviously the size of the thing. And yeah, basically based on the coordinates we know which mapping to choose, right? So we take the index based on the coordinates, and then we use that mapping to choose the texture. So that's the broad idea of doing it. And yeah, sure, like actually doing it in the Rust code, I think I called it grid or something. It was a bit more painful, because what I figured out is that shaders in Bevy, it's not that great yet. So if you want to have anything other than just numbers or a single image or anything like that, or like something really simple, you have to write your own as bind group or something. So you have to specify how you want to, I guess, serialize the data, because you need to serialize the data when you send it from CPU to GPU. So you have to define how you do that. So I mean, that sucks, but it wasn't that hard, because there are a lot of examples. Even though the version changes quite often for Bevy, still the examples are working. So yeah, I mean, hopefully in the future we'll have a way of not having to implement this stuff, and just have something like I have in another shader. You just specify uniform and just works. But let's see next. I mean, this one is, really like this one. It's pretty cool. I think this is gonna be useful for terrain generation. So you can imagine that each texture from here is gonna be a different tile kind, like water, grass, forest, and so on. And combine this one with chunking. So imagine that this small thing is one chunk like that, and yeah, you can have like terrain, right? If we combine those two, so that's why I want to do it bottom up, bottom up, yeah, or yeah, I guess top down and bottom up, it's the opposite. So yeah, that's why I would like to make it like that. Okay, and the next one is like, I was trying to get a shader. Well, I mean, this one's a bit weird, but like a shader that goes from one color to transparent. Oh, it really looks kind of scuffed, but I mean, it is what it is. And I wanted to have this thing for being able to have like a build tool, and I'm not really sure, like the build tool is gonna look something like this. And at first what I struggled with was how to apply that fading material on a cube, but then I realized, well, why use a cube when I could use 4 planes, right? So this thing right here is basically 4 planes, and they all go around the center, right? So that's the idea. Because if I was using a cube, it wasn't looking really good. But yeah, and it's like snapping to the grid, pretty neat. And yeah, this is going to be used to build buildings, right, and show where you can build basically. And I'm not really sure if it, like, you can imagine that the building is going to be here in the center, but I'm not really sure if it looks better like this, or if I want to show the back faces instead. So you know, you can let me know if you think it looks better like this, or if we go to 0.5, let me just change these things. So if I put here -5, remove that one, -5 for this one, and remove this one. So yeah, you can see these are all just planes, right, and they are rotated to work with the shader. So would it look better like this and the building in the middle, or would it look better with the front faces, right? So you know, you can give some feedback on that one. What do you think? I mean, this would probably look better in my opinion, but right now it looks trash because we don't have anything in the middle. Like if I had a building here, maybe it would look better because you can see the entire building, but because we don't show anything in right now, for some reason this one looks better, right? So yeah, I think it's hard to say without some building also being displayed, but you know, I could go for whatever, like wouldn't really matter. It's really easy to switch between the two, even if we decide to change that. But yeah, like these are all the things that I was able to do. You know, I'll try to do more, like maybe being able to actually place buildings, because I think that terrain generation, maybe I leave it like the last thing, because I was thinking about, you know, what are the most important features, and terrain generation is not really that important if you think about it, because in an RTS game what's more important is placing the buildings and having the units, right? And maybe the objective, that's also like the objective of collecting resources. So I think these are the most important ones. But you know, playing around with small features and examples, since I'm not a game dev or anything, and you know, trying to learn that stuff, I think it's still fine, because trying to gain more experience in game dev. So with small examples like this, I feel like it's easier, even though I said that it's better to just go insane mode and just make progress. Yeah, because you know, felt a bit stuck in the you know, after the first game dev log, because I wasn't really sure how to go about it, like how to get the new features in, and the code was feeling really scuffed, because if you remember, there were some systems like really bloated, I would say. They were doing a lot, and yeah, now with this new approach of trying to build it bottom up, I feel like, you know, we have some better stuff, like in SRC, for example, camera, you know, it's just like this, but I have stuff like grid, which is just for the material, so this is just the renderer. There's nothing related to the actual, you know, grid system. And then there's the chunking one, you know, which is also really simple. And yeah, I'm trying to use as many components. I'm not sure if it's gonna become really rough, but you know, hopefully trying to build it bottom up, it's gonna be easier at some point. Right now the game doesn't have anything, I'm just having these examples. So I mean, I'll try to do more examples and keep you updated. Maybe if you want to see these things earlier, you can join the Discord to see those posts. And yeah, don't forget to like, and yeah, let me know about this stuff, how you feel like it would be better to display it. So yeah, see you in the next one.